Hi, I'm Callum from The Next Web, and today we have one hell of an interesting video for you. What if I said the phrases Pablo Escobar and foldable phone? Yeah, you want to watch this. So enough of this boring intro, let's get straight into it. So a bit of background, because we really need to understand where this device came from. So enter Roberto Escobar, Pablo Escobar's biological brother. He was involved in a lawsuit that you might have seen about the pabloescobar.com domain. The reason he was fighting this $3 million battle was because he wanted to launch some groundbreaking technology into the world, including his own version of Elon Musk's flamethrower, if you remember that sort of thing that everyone went crazy over. So it's into this sort of world that the Fold 1 and Fold 2 have entered. If you've been following the phone sector at all, you'll have known one of the big stories of 2020 and 2019 has been the rise of foldable phones. These are the devices that have screens that are malleable to a point that you can literally, as the name suggests, fold them. Now, in the past couple of weeks, we've seen some of these actually launch and hit the market, specifically the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip and the Motorola Razr. Before this as well, there was the Samsung Galaxy Fold, a bit more on that later, that had one of the most disastrous launches known to mankind. The Escobar company have released two foldable phones. The first one, the Fold 1, and the second one, the imaginatively titled Fold 2. Now, apart from the adverts, which were some of the most disgusting, ridiculous, over-the-top, just dumb advertising I've ever come across in the past few years, one of the things that has been most attention-grabbing about the Escobar phones, apart from obviously the drug dealing, gangster connections, the super sexist videos that they show, has been the prices. So the Fold 1 is being sold for $350, the Fold 2 is being sold for $400. Not exactly cheap, but when you realize the Galaxy Z Flip is being sold for 1.3 to 1.4K, there's a huge fucking difference between those two prices. And of course, people have gone wild over that. Whatever way you look at it, the Escobar company selling these foldable phones for so little money, comparatively of course, is insane. There's got to be some catch, some hook in there, which we will get to a bit later. But before that, we needed to know one thing. Are they even going to work? So thankfully, we managed to get our hands on one, and we're going to go through a little bit of unboxing, first impressions, and see how it actually works. So yeah, let's fire straight into it. So first impressions, this is not the most premium box I've ever come across. It does feel less quality than Amazon cardboard. I would say kind of knockoff perfume, even though I will say that it's got like quite a nice little thick edge around there that it makes me satisfied, even though it is 100% just glued on in a factory somewhere. And yeah, it really does look like what you'd find on just a really dodgy bottle of aftershave down the market. Luckily though, for everyone who was doubting it, it does say QC passed. I'm not sure what quality control the box went through, but hey, it must have passed someone. So sliding it open, and you are greeted with maybe not quite an Apple-esque display there, as the phone is just kind of wedged between two bits of like soft styrofoam. But who cares about packaging at the end of the day? If it's a cool phone, it's a cool phone. And yeah, it's got like a weight to it. I guess first impressions is this thing is thick. It is a beefy boy. Unless you have big pockets, you're really gonna struggle to carry this around. Then we have the rear of it that I actually do like that color. The gold thing does have a real swaggy Mr. T sort of all gold everything vibe, but when you actually look at the quality of the labeling on there, it is very much looks like someone's just stuck it on without really too much care. To be fair, it's not peeling off, which I would have expected it to, but there are a lot of scratches and dents and bobs on this phone already, which I know it's been through a couple of journalists before it reached me, but it does make me question how quality this thing is. But check out it does fold open. So now the next thing we need to do is actually turn this motherfucker on. And we're going, oh, and it says Samsung Galaxy Fold. The Escobar Fold 2 phone says Samsung Galaxy Fold on it. After doing a bit of digging and speaking to the Escobar CEO, Olaf Gustafsson, we found out that this is literally a Samsung Galaxy Fold. It's not the Escobar Fold 2, it is 100% a Samsung Galaxy Fold with a bit of gold foil attached on the back and a name change. Yes, even down to the software itself. There's nothing different about it whatsoever. The only real addition they've done is put a fancy little photo of Pablo Escobar as the background, which I will say is kind of worrying whenever you open the phone and this dude is just glaring at you, but you can change it, so that's fine. When we spoke to the company, we found out the reason for this is kind of simple in its own way. Samsung, of course, uses factories, the majority of them in China, to produce its phones. And what the Escobar company did was contact those factories and buy a whole load of Samsung Galaxy Folds from them. It's just a weird kind of scam, I guess, that it's just a Samsung Galaxy Fold with different branding, and they're selling it as some drug dealer influenced narco state device. I don't really get why they didn't even try and put their own OS or version of Android on it, apart from they kind of just want everyone to know it's a Samsung Galaxy Fold. So that changes how we actually need to talk about this thing, because it's not reviewing an Escobar Inc. fantastic drug dealer phone. It's just a Samsung Galaxy under a different name, kind of a fake, if you will, but kind of a real fake, because surely most people would want more of a Samsung one. It's confusing. I don't know what the point of it is, but while we're here, we may as well talk about it. So the first thing you notice with the Escobar Fold 2 is the front screen. Now, this isn't something that I am particularly fond of at all. It's absolutely tiny, and the resolution on it isn't very good. It just surprises me when you have such an amount of space on the front of the phone, and yet it only uses that tiny quarter. It just seems a bit bizarre. But on the other hand, I guess it kind of makes sense that if all you want to do here is make some calls, maybe look up the weather, it's fair enough. I mean, I guess you can take photos from it as well, rather than having to like expand it, but not really the best thing in the world. But where it does get cool is when you get it into the actual fold out, and then you just open up, just pop, and there it is. The changing between the front screen and the main foldable is so phenomenally instantaneous. It's a goddamn joy to do. I mean, it's faster than the Switch, which is a technical marvel in itself. I mean, you just put that console in the dock and it flashes on the TV. But even that is a bit slower than this, and yeah, I've got to say, I am a big fan of it. I guess one issue is that when it is open like that, it's kind of impossible to shut it with one hand, and I've got fucking Sasquatch hands. So actually trying to do this as a person who has normal sized digits would be nigh on impossible. You kind of need to cup and squeeze, and it's just not very comfortable. So now we're on to the actual main screen itself, and I'm a big fan. It is cool. I guess the first thing to say is it's big, but it's not that big. If you look at it compared to, say, the iPhone 11 Pro Max, you've got a little bit more space, but it's not a breathtaking, life-changing amount, which you would think that, considering how narrow it is here, you'd be able to just add an extra half an inch on there and really widen it up. But it's hard to complain, because it does feel bizarrely futuristic having something like this on here. And in my experience, like watching videos, playing games on it, it does deliver something a bit different to any other phone. It is a lot more tablet-esque and it does feel more luxurious. Like reading on here, of course, if I had an e-ink screen, that'd be fantastic. But reading on here is nicer than reading on your normal phone, almost kind of tablet-esque levels. Now to the things you would have definitely heard about if you've been following the foldable phone trend, and that is the creasing and the screen itself. Yes, there is undeniably a crease in the middle there. You can feel it, it is there, but it doesn't really impact your operation too much. The only time I've really noticed it is on black screens and black backgrounds. So when, say, an app is starting or switching between modes, that is when you see it. So maybe if you're watching movies on here, that could get kind of annoying. Or if you're in a place where the light catches weirdly, that would be, yeah, pretty shitty. But generally for day-to-day use, I found it not to be too much of a problem at all. I guess the other question is durability. If you've been on the internet, you'll have seen the people doing tests folding it, closing it, folding it, closing it to see how long it lasts. And yeah, I've only had it for about a week. It's hard to know how long it will fold up, but it's a new technology. What do you expect? And in this experience, like, yeah, it's cool. Here though, we get into the issues with the Escobar Fold 2 / Samsung Galaxy Fold. And a lot of that is to do with the price and reliability and whether you'll actually get one. So let's think about it a little bit. When the Samsung Galaxy Fold was up for pre-orders, people were crawling over themselves to get one of these devices, and it was being sold for $1.5K, and I can understand why. It's a crazy bit of technology that is futuristic, and in many cases, and I still kind of believe, it's the future of phones in some level. When you look at it that way and you think you could get the exact same phone with some fancy branding and shitty stickering for $400, it sounds like an absolute bargain. And if I could guarantee you'd get one, I would say just do it. If you can afford it, do it and try it. But I'm not going to say that because I am still not entirely sure this whole Escobar Inc. isn't a massive scam. If you're watching Escobar Inc., maybe I didn't say that. Please don't come round to my house and burn it down or kill me or anything. I'm cool. I'm fine. Narcos was a good program. What do you want from me? So of the Fold 1, there have been multiple reports of people ordering it on the escobarinc.com website and never receiving the damn thing. And I can't help but think the same might happen with this. Yes, I've got one in my hand, but that's not a huge surprise because I'm a journalist and they sent it to us in order to try and get the coverage and out there and thinking it is a reliable thing that you can buy. But there's too many reports, there's too much stuff going around it to know whether you will actually receive one if you get it. So if you do want to take the dive and see what the cheap version of a Samsung Galaxy Fold 2 is like, do it. It's cool. Like, I've had a great time playing about with it and it is magnificent, but it's probably going to break. From everything we've seen, it's probably going to get smashed into 1,000 pieces. So just be careful out there, okay? So how would I sum up the Escobar Fold 2 / Samsung Galaxy Fold? Great phone. Really enjoyed having it. It's pretty wonderful, but it's also probably a scam. And unless you have more money than you know what to do with and you're happy just flinging it at a notorious drug dealer's brother, maybe stay away from it. But at least I got to get hold of it and that's cool. But who am I? Who are you to listen to me? It doesn't matter. Do what you want. I'm not your dad. In a bit.